Hello Physical Fiends, it is the only Game of the Year awards that actually matters because it is entirely voted for by you, not by sponsors, nor by half a dozen people in a Zoom call trying to figure out which games can make the most ad revenue. These physical Nintendo Switch games were chosen by you. The top 10 physical Switch games of the year. Before we do that, let me just quickly round up the numbers 15 to 11, okay? At 15 was Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, with not too many people voting for this one despite the positive reception. Maybe they didn't feel it was in the spirit of Game of the Year since half of it was a port. At 14, I think we have a case for I'll use my final vote for the memes. Bunny Garden. Hey look, Drunken Twister with a busty barmaid can be physical Game of the Year, but maybe they got the wrong kind of physical meaning. At 13, we had Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, which was eligible due to one of the games having an official English translation and release in 2025. Again, probably low because it's not much in the spirit of the award, but I get it. At 12, Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, a complete and utter remake of the Super Famicom JRPG, now in fully 3D with much more going on. I haven't played it myself, but it does look top quality if you're looking for something a bit different in your JRPG. And at 11, we have Tsukihime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon. Again, this game was eligible due to its releasing in English for the first time this year. An incredible visual novel, one of the best ever created. Obviously wasn't going to get massively high in the list due to the niche genre, but don't overlook it. Before we get into the top 10, if you want to purchase any of the games in this video and support me at the same time, consider using the links in the description and pinned comment to do so. VGP are a fantastic company with free worldwide shipping on orders over 80 Canadian bucks, which is less than 60 American dollars, and it supports me in the best way possible because everyone is a winner. I get money and you get an awesome game. Thank you so much. At 10, Mario and Luigi Brothership, a recent game from Nintendo themselves, one of their big hopes for the end of the year as the Nintendo Switch enters its twilight and needs some smaller titles to fill in the release schedule as they prepare for the launch of their next console, hopefully with some big hitters to go alongside it. I heard this is a 5 out of 10 kind of game from some people, other people say they really like it. It's a bit different from your usual Mario escapade, especially if you're used to only gaming on home consoles rather than portable systems, but as the series' first HD outing, they did a solid if maybe unspectacular job. Still, for you guys, it was number 10. At number 9, The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak, which, okay, it's technically a game from 2021, but it's the first time it's been officially released in English, and it seems the wait was very much worth it. It's the first game in a new arc within the Trails arc, which is an arc within the Legend of Heroes arc series. It's incredibly confusing, but supposedly this is an okay starting point, a much needed one in recent times. There are so many on the Switch now, and there are even more coming with the sequel to this one arriving early next year, so make sure you play through this in time for the sequel. The series are a bunch of great JRPGs. Many say they are the good timeline of how the genre should have been developed in the HD era rather than when Final Fantasy tried to go too mainstream and blockbuster. This series from Famicom is the nice alternative. At 8, we have Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is already becoming a bit of a cult classic. I've seen many people bemoaning the fact that Ubisoft said that this game did not sell as well as expected. Personally, I think if you're developing a game of this genre, you can't expect too many sales numbers, and also with the business practices of Ubisoft, where games are discounted heavily after only a few weeks, of course, no one is going to be buying this day one. But now you can grab this for around like 20 bucks if you just wait for the right sale. It's a fantastic game for a fantastic price, a Metroidvania Prince of Persia game, a rival to Metroid Dread as one of the best on the system. At 7, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, a rejig or remix of a game that was Game of the Year in, well, whichever year it released, I can't remember, but it was number 1. This new story version with its gameplay tweaks and additions obviously would never have the same kind of impact, but still a really fantastic JRPG that one should own. Again, the new content is different enough that I would say it is a new game that just so happens to include the old game within it too. Perfectly reasonable to be on this list. At 6, we have our highest ranking indie game, Balatro. It's a card game. It's a bit like poker, but not poker. Supposedly one of the most addictive games on the system. Personally, you guys know I'll stay the hell away from this one, but I have no doubt it is absolute quality for those who love this sort of thing. It's been a long time since I remember an indie game being as impactful and ubiquitously talked about as this one. It's still on social media today, and the physical release was nice enough to come out and be reasonably cheap after a few weeks. You can get this for like 20 bucks if you just wait for the right moment for one of the games of the year. It's certainly going to be worth it if you enjoy losing track of time and sleep. At number 5, the biggest surprise to me, Emio, the Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club. Where did this come from? I mean, I agree, it's a fantastic adventure game, but not one I thought people would pay much attention to for, like, Game of the Year at least. But maybe my channel roots as VN Paradise means there is a strong VN audience in there amongst you. This is an utterly polished and impeccably produced VN adventure game that has everything I like about the genre. Fun characters, a good mystery, lots of poking around and asking questions. I'm happy Nintendo made a physical release for this, but it makes me even sadder that they decided against doing one for the previous games in the series, at least in the West. This is niche and probably won't be for everyone, but if you want a story with twists and turns, give it a shot. At number 4, East 10 Nordics. This makes me very happy to see. I haven't had the chance to sample this myself as of yet, but being a nascent fan of the series, I'm looking forward to giving it a go one day in the future. It's an action RPG in a series that I think is vastly underrated. Everyone talks about your Final Fantasies, your Dragon Quests, but the East series is just as old and yet incredibly consistent in terms of quality. Known for fun adventure storylines, simple but addictive gameplay, and incredible music, I think this reaching 4th in the Game of the Year shows that it may be starting to get more credit, and it deserves it. I can't wait to start playing this one. Number 3, Dragon Quest III 2D HD Remake. I kinda saw this coming, and yet part of me was hesitant to put it on the nominees list due to being uncertain about how different it was from the original, aside from the visual overhaul. But the fact that it made it to number 3 shows me that plenty of you out there felt very strongly about it. It's an absolutely gorgeous remake of the first game in the Daybreak trilogy. 1 and 2 continue the story, and we'll see a double pack of those next year. And after this quality remake, which has already sold over 2 million copies in just a few weeks, shows that the old school JRPG with a nice new stylish sheen, the genre is certainly not dead or outdated. And the fact that it's a success means we may be one step closer to getting this kind of remake of Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI. I played a different version of this game and had a great time with it, and now it looks even better than ever. And it seems even with the censorship controversy, a lot of people are still in love with Dragon Quest III. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, one of Nintendo's, if not Nintendo's biggest game of the year. I mean, I think due to its nature, it hasn't hit as mainstream as some of their previous AAA titles. It's a relatively niche game compared to like a 3D Zelda or a Mario game. A top-down Zelda game not starring Link was probably never going to immediately become people's game of the year, at least not an obvious choice, but I'm very pleasantly surprised to see it get to number 2. Finally, a game starring Zelda that's not on the Philips CDI. This is not your average Zelda game, it's far more creative and imaginative, which can go both ways. Some people like meticulously designed puzzles with one precise solution they have to think through. Others just enjoy summoning chairs to whack monsters with as though you're a WWE wrestler in the 90s. While I have not had the chance to play as myself yet, I have been very excited to do so since it first got revealed because I was hyped as hell. And you guys putting it at number 2 just made me even more excited to give it a try one day. At number 1, I think a lot of people saw this coming. In fact, I saw plenty of comments from people definitively stating they knew exactly that Unicorn Overlord would be people's game of the year. And I'm personally a little surprised, firstly because I forgot the game was this year, and secondly, it's a Vanillaware title. Of course it's game of the year quality, but does it have that reach to get into more people's hands who would then vote for it? Well, it did, because this RPG genre mix certainly resonated with a lot of people. It's perhaps Vanillaware's most ambitious title ever, and that's certainly saying something. They are not a company to keep things simple. It's a tactical RPG that actually reminds me of Dragon Force in some regards, just if it was made in the modern day. And it could be a bit of a successor to that series, and it's fantastic to see it get the credit it deserves. It's beautiful, it's polished, it's complex, and it's got a name that sounds like Square Enix made it. Perfect. And it is your Game of the Year 2024. Thank you for watching, thank you for voting, thank you for subscribing if you haven't already. Leave a like, leave a comment with a mildly relevant opinion on the video topic. And if you want to purchase any of the games in this video, please consider doing so with the links down below in the description and the pinned comment. I greatly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care.